Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Hopsworks 5-minute interviews. And this is the first one that we're recording in the new year. So, happy New Year to everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, I have a really cool guest on the other side of this Zoom call, and that is Zander Matheson of Bytewax. Hi, Zander. How are you?
Hey, Rick. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing? And thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, it's going great. First week of the working year for me, so still wildly fresh and rested and going for everything. So,
Yeah.
hey Xander, you know what the format is like here, right? We're trying to get a perspective of some community members on what's going on in the industry and everything like that. But obviously, many people might not yet know you. So, would you mind introducing yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Zander. I'm the founder of Bytewax. And for those of you who don't know, Bytewax is an open source project that's a Python stream processing library. And the company behind it is by the same name, which is Bytewax. We offer also a commercial offering on top of that, which is a platform that kind of operationalizes real-time data processing. My background is in data science, machine learning. Before starting Bytewax, I worked at GitHub, and before that at Heroku, and I always had my fingers in different data problems. So I've kind of touched many areas that are data related, from data engineering to analytics and data science and reporting to machine learning infrastructure. So
Very
kind of a
cool.
jack of all trades.
Yeah, very good, very good. That's great.
Multi-tool, like not the best at anything, and not that great at everything.
Those people have the most impact, man. So don't put yourself down there. But hey, was stream processing any kind of stream processing, or is it anything specific that you guys specialize in, or is it actually more related to ML, or how should I position it there?
Yeah, so the story around how Bytewax came to be is kind of related to machine learning. And the idea was to tackle a problem around how can we make real-time inference easier. So you
Yeah.
get to the point where you have like an idea, and you go and train a model, test to make sure that your idea actually works. And
Mhm.
you're like, cool, I want to move this thing into production. And in some instances, it's best to have that inference happening in real time. So it's almost like it's in like the critical path.
Yep.
And the hard part comes down to not I need to host this model, but as you're aware in the feature store side of things, how do I generate the features that I need so that the model can make the inference? And I need to do the same thing to the data that I did when I was like training that model. I need to do that in real time. And so that's where Bytewax came to be, because oftentimes those transformations you need to do, whether it's joining multiple streams together, or you're taking a window of time and calculating some things, or making a new distribution of data over a window of time, those require the things that stream processors are naturally really good at, because you have this idea of state. And so that's what led us to making an open source Python stream processor that is stateful and has all the nice things, because it provides a lot easier handoff from what you did to the data in training to do it now in real time. It became much more than that. So it's a general stream processor. You can think of like Apache Flink or Apache Spark or things like that. But
Yep.
that's kind of where it came from. And so there's a lot of like the design decisions, and the history is behind Bytewax, led to Bytewax today.
Wow, that's really, really cool. And I think you've actually answered my second question already, which is all about, how does it relate to machine learning, feature store, MLOps, So you're basically, it's a stream processing environment that is extremely well suited for MLOps, if I understand you correctly there.
Yeah, definitely. So that's that's the relationship Bytewax has with
Yes.
MLOps and feature stores. So you can often find, I think some actually, I'll like stub in at the feature store summit. I gave a talk on Bytewax, but someone else was mentioning how you can use Bytewax to generate features and store them in a feature store. So that's kind of where it fits in the architecture. You're listening to things like Kafka, et cetera. But so that's Bytewax's relationship with MLOps and feature stores. Mine is more from the experience I had at GitHub, because I joined GitHub at a time when they were like, we're going to put ML everywhere. Let's hire all these machine learning engineers, data scientists. And they did that, and there was no infrastructure to support any of the projects we wanted to do. And me being sort of jack of all tradesy and like, hey, I want to do a problem, I jumped in to try and solve the issue of no infrastructure. And so I started working a lot on things that became MLOps. And this was as that was all developing. So we didn't really have like terminology and everything. We didn't really even have a feature store terminology yet. We were like, yeah, and then we put all these things in, MySQL, and we want to maintain the versions correctly. And so it was fun times. But that's my relationship with kind of that whole realm.
So, the obvious question, and I ask this to everyone, is, why do you think it's so interesting? Why is it so attractive, so important to you? Obviously, you must have a view on that.
Yeah, well, it was out of necessity. Like we had, so
scratching an itch.
Yeah. So it was out of necessity that we sort of tackled infrastructure, and that's where I came to realize the importance of the practices, additional software engineering best practices that are related to these sort of like very data-driven and data-oriented things. And so I think that's why MLOps and ML systems, I mean, I don't know if and feature stores, I don't know if attractive is the right terminology, but definitely important. They're so important because they are ways to embody best practices in addition to software engineering best practices that enable you to have resilient systems. And at the end of the day, like that was our job. That's, a lot of our jobs is build resilient systems so we can all sleep well at night.
That's a great summary. I love that. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, and then the last question I really wanted to ask you is, where should the audience go? If they want to read up on stuff, or if they want to listen to something, you have something in mind that you feel like, oh, that really triggered me, or I had a great time learning from that, or something like that. Do you want to share something there?
Yeah, the industry moves, well, maybe this is just me, but it moves so fast around all of this stuff. So sometimes I find it quite hard to keep up. Yeah. So I have a number of people that I follow, and there are some interesting blogs out there that I follow, and then interesting conferences. So I will go ahead and I will stub the Feature Store Summit again, because I thought it was a great conference, and it was, even though it's organized by Hopsworks, I felt it was super unbiased and had a lot of great presentations. So generally, I follow along with some of the Python conferences, PyData, PyCons, because that's in my world. I think they're great. The regional PyData events are really great. They're low cost. There's lots of practitioners that go, and there are lots of really great talks about exciting libraries, exciting new libraries, or how to be effective using libraries that we already use today. Yeah. And then final thing, I know this is like way more than like one thing, but the final thing is I got started with Fast AI at one point, and I like following some of the folks that were involved with Fast AI. Jeremy Howard, and the Fast AI blog. He's always poking at new and interesting things and asking questions or posing things that might be controversial. So I think that's a great place for keeping up for me.
You know what we're going to do is, if you're okay with it, I'll ask you to share some of those links, and then I'll put them in the show notes sure. after the recording, if that's okay. Yeah. But hey, you know that we want to keep this quite short and snappy, so I'm going to wrap up here. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us, and I hope to bump into you on one of those conferences later
Definitely.
On or something. That would be great.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Rick.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.